What's going on, everyone? Welcome. This is the Warehouse Series, and welcome to part 3 of the Cross and T. Now, the second video I'm going to put in the description below if you want to watch that video. It is a really good one. The first one, very vague, so I'm not even going to throw it in the description. Guys, so someone reached out to me, said I'm still struggling with the middle of my pallet. And, you know, honestly, this goes right back to the cross and T. The middle of the pallet is the cross and T. So that's why I got Let Me Help up here, and I'm hoping I can help this person. Guys, I'm probably a couple months, 2-3 months away from 5,000 subscribers. Big time landmark for me. I hope I get there. Help me get there by sharing my channel and talking to your coworkers. Guys, if you want to join Discord, I don't even know what we're at right now. Probably pushing 650 members. And if you want to comment and leave thumbs up on my videos, it helps the algorithm. And guys, the donations, you have no idea how thankful I am. I've been getting quite a few lately, and you guys are the greatest. I really appreciate that you guys appreciate the time that I put into this channel, okay? Because once again, I am monetized. I do get paid from Google, but it is not a lot. And I am very transparent with that. I talk about how much I make on this channel all the time. So the donations are very, very much appreciated. Guys, and I'm starting to... Discord's going to get a little bit bigger today. I just put out an interview I did with Cole Wolf. So if you're, I'll put that in the description below too. Click that link and watch that interview. I'm going to start. If you guys want to be interviewed, let me know. And then I'm also going to be doing a Zoom call with someone to try to personally help this person. So I'm going to be Zoom calling with somebody. So if you want a Zoom call, you know, all what I did was, you know, they asked how much I charge. I said, I do not charge anything. I just asked for a donation. If you wanted to, it's totally up to you. But I appreciate the person for doing that. So with that being said, guys, let's get to the first picture. Now, I told you guys in the part 2 of this that when I'm building a base, basically on my whole pallet, the T is an upside down T if you're new to the channel. I like to focus on all my small cases being in the upside down T because I like a strong back. When I get higher up the pallet and I have nowhere else to go, I revert to the full cross. So basically, I'm just adding on this part here to put small cases. So these 2 blue arrows is where I don't want to focus on putting small cases. Now, what do you see here? I put one in that part of the pallet. I like to try to keep this nice and slender in here. I don't even like these cases going this direction, but as you can watch my other videos, these slippery cases, I like to tuck them in the middle of my pallet. So what I'm doing right here is I got the fancy feast in that part where I don't want to put small cases, but I know what's coming. I know I'm going to get a flat, long cat food coming up in the end of this out right here that is going to cover half of this case. This case is here to just fill in a gap. It's not here for me to put something on top of it, all right? So when I put this case here, I know I'm not putting something on top of it. I'm just going to put a case to cover half that case, and then I don't have to worry about that case anymore. Now over here, I'm a little higher than the outside, so I got to put something else down, probably another case of the same cat food that I'm going to be putting over here. I'm going to put right here. Then I will be higher, and I could bring another case over and cover partial middle. So basically, when I have a fat middle like this, and I don't like it, I'm going to try to narrow it up as I go up the pallet. I want those big cases pointing in. So with that being said, this red shaded area, let's say we're at this point right here, and I just start getting bombarded with all this stuff. You know, not say all the canned cat food coming up in that. I will build up the front of my pallet, and I will save the back of my pallet for the Pop-Tarts that are coming up in the next out, because I know those Pop-Tarts are nice solid cases, and I can lay them flat or upright, and I will get a nice solid wall going across the back. So that is the red shaded area. Guys, sometimes I have the front of my pallet fully built, and I will have this all the way down here at my waist. But I know with what's coming up in the warehouse, I'm going to play catch up, and I'm going to catch up to the front of that pallet. I hope all of that makes sense. So I try to keep the middle of this not only slender, a nice narrow column, but level. I do not like any of my cases not being level, but especially in the middle of the pallet, because if the middle of your pallet's not level and you start teetering, and you have the perimeter of your pallet built, then you're SOL, all right? So you have to keep a nice, strong perimeter of your pallet in order to stabilize the middle of that pallet. I know that's a lot of information to take in. but we're going to get on to the next one. This is what happens. So this is going this direction. So picture this as the cross right here. This is what happens when you get, and those two blue arrows that I just showed on my previous picture. This is what happens when you get out of that slender middle. You start forcing yourself to have a fat middle, and then you start running cases in the part of the pallet I absolutely cannot stand. Nothing ever good comes out of it, and that's all because we worried about the middle of our pallet and not the outside. If these cases were facing in and we turn these cases, you want them to actually run on the line of the cross and the T. You do not want to run them this direction. Now, I did in my previous slide, and we can go back to that because I'm sort of contradicting myself, but I did it right here. But I know that I'm going to bring higher cases in. But see how these cases are still pointing in? You don't see cases running this way. All right, I'm constantly pointing cases in towards the middle of my pallet, and that is what makes the difference from my pallet to this pallet. But you do not want to do this in the middle of the pallet because we force ourselves to have that weak outside and a strong inside. This one here, we're not level. All right, now this is the front of the pallet looking back. This is the side. It's okay to put the sparkle in the middle coming down, but when your inside is not level, then it just doesn't work out because now we have zero opportunity to put anything in this middle. So I don't know if this is your finished product, but let's say we had a full product or a full pallet. We can't put nothing else in here because it's just going to knock the whole entire side over. So what I would have done is push this sparkle out of there and took your Norse, or even this case here, and I would have filled in the middle. So when you fill in the middle, I don't mind what you did with your ramen noodles right there. You're just filling in a little gap there. But let's say we didn't have any cases to fill in that gap. So be it. If the perimeter of your pallet is nice and strong, just focus on centering cases on top of each other in the middle of your pallet and keeping it level. As long as you keep it level, you're going to be fine. When you don't have a level middle, you are not going to be good. It's going to be a disaster. So right here, I want you to picture the center. So we got Welch's, and then I should have removed these, but I don't know if you could see this, but you got small case, small case, small case. You got a bunch of small cases. So we have a really fat middle of that cross. That red line is where we want to focus on the cross. So your coffee is in the perfect spot. I would have just kept going straight back on that line. Case is facing the same direction, straight back on that line. When you start getting into the blue shaded area, like you did with your Welch's, in this case right here, you start forcing yourself to have a weak outside. Now we got strong cases on the outside. This one's a little pushed out. I don't know if you just did that for the picture to show me your middle, but these cases are nice and solid on the middle. Now over here, we got a lower outside, and that is part of the cross and T. But you have enough big cases on your pallet where you could keep the outside nice and strong. So how do I want to say this again? If you keep getting solid cases like you have right here, try to build the perimeter of your pallet nice and strong. Keep the front of the pallet to right here with smaller cases. If you have to go to full, then you go to full all the way across the pallet. But I would rather have a big, strong case where your white case is over there, and I would like to keep these cases running back. And if you're going to have a low middle, have the next one cover this. So don't focus on putting it, just like my cat food, my fancy feast or whatever it was. Don't focus on putting a case on top of this. Focus on having a bigger case come in and cover half that case. That way you keep that nice slender middle. I hope that makes sense. Maybe the next time I build, I'm purposely gonna build my pallet wrong, or not wrong, but according to what I'm saying right now, if you're still not understanding. But I do want you to message me on Discord to let me know if you're getting a better idea of what I'm talking about. Now, this is the front of a pallet. See how we are keeping our smaller cases in the middle of the pallet. We got our big cases pointing in, to the one case pointed back. Two similar cases, even though it's a jelly and a pickle, it's about the same size. We point them back, we keep the higher one on the outside. Now I got this red arrow put. Now I don't like this right here though. Whoever built this pallet, to me, this is sticking out way too far. So whenever we put this on the truck, the whole front of this case is going to get smashed. Guys, when you load trucks, you push it all the way up against each other. So this case right here is going to get demolished up front, and possibly some of the product inside is going to get destroyed. If it doesn't fit, don't put it there. Honestly, they could have probably stuck this upright because there's no pressure on it. The other thing with the red arrow, you notice how right here we didn't force a case in there. So this is what I want you to focus on. Picture this being the middle of your pallet and you got a hole. If you do not have a case to fit in that hole, do not force a case in. If you have a case to fit in this hole and it's higher than this case, then don't put it there. All right, we don't want to put it there because we want to keep nice and level inside the middle. We want this gap to be lower than our strong case that's in the middle of our pallet. Once again, hope I'm making sense. Sometimes things are just better off in my head and I have a really hard time trying to explain it. So this is the front of the pallet. Here we go, guys. That's the middle of the cross. Now I like this right here, nice solid case. This case, I shaded it out like those blue arrows and the blue lines I was showing you. That's in the part. But look, it's just a slight lower case. So we got a small case, slightly lower than our corner, so we're good to go. So very nicely done here, keeping cases pointing in. And even though there are some cases just a little bit bigger, it's still keeping that cross formation. Now this box here, I would not do. That is too big to be in the middle. This box is a big flat box. It should be right here facing in. That box right there would have been on top facing in. It's longer, so it probably would have came onto the Pampers a little bit. I would have faced it in on a corner. Guys, even when you're getting later on in your order and you're getting light boxes, but they're big and strong, on the corners, all right? We don't want to put big cases in the middle. Save it for your small cases. This Nor's, not only would I never put a Nor on the corner unless it was all the way at the top of my pallet, I would never put it on its side on a corner. I don't even put them on their sides when I'm topping it off. I always leave them upright because these cases fall apart. Don't ever put a Nor on its side. Don't ever use it for a corner and you're only halfway through your pallet. Yeah, that's definitely not good. We got a couple more pictures to look at here that I'm hoping I'm helping out. We're at the front of the pallet again. See how we're getting wide in here? And we're using like all these small. So this Pringles would have been here on my corner. I would have dropped this box down. These little cases right here, these taco seasonings would have been in the middle. This big case in the middle would have been here facing in. So guys, it doesn't matter what part of the warehouse you're in. You know, you want the big cases facing in. Whatever is the biggest cases in that section of the warehouse you want facing in. Now, I'm going to sort of contradict myself again. When you get a ton of little cases, I don't mind the Nor's upright in the corner because look what's on top of it. All lightweight. At the worst, all we got to do is throw some wrap around here. But I definitely, this is just like, it's not horrible, but I would definitely get rid of these taco seasonings. Maybe they should have been in the middle where the Pringles are. And then we could have kept cases pointing in. But the more big cases you got pointed in with all these small cases in the middle, the least amount of opportunity is going to knock over one of your corners. My arrows are just showing the part of the pallet where you should be stacking up your middle, your little cases. And don't forget, you could stack higher than what you are on the rest of the pallet. Once again, shaded area. This person did it very nicely. All right, so we got a nice shade. I want to put the Arnold Palmers on the corner. Maybe this case and this case are a little bit heavier and they line up. But maybe I would have had that on the corner. I don't know exactly how I would have did that, but right here you can see in the shaded area we got big heavy cases in here, even though they're different, smaller. We got the skinnier cases in the middle is what I want to get to. That's the center of our cross right there, looking at the side view of the pallet. The shaded area, we want to focus on bigger cases. And I hope this helps. Cross and T part 3. Basically, we focused on the upper part of the pallet today, not so much starting from the base. So from waist up is what we tried to focus on today. So I hope you guys are understanding these videos. If I'm not making sense, please let me know in the comment section below and I will try to help you again. So that's it, guys. I'll see you later. Have a great day.